The slowest run you've ever done might be the only one actually making you faster. And if that sounds wrong, it's because everything in running has been telling you the opposite for years. Push harder, chase the pace, hurt more to improve more. That belief is everywhere. In social media content, in the way runners talk about training, in the quiet shame most people feel when they get past on an easy day. And it's making a lot of runners slower, more injured, and more burned out than they really need to be. Because here's what the suffering narrative never tells you. The best endurance athletes in the world spend most of their training time at a pace that would embarrass the average runner. Not some of the time, most of it. Now, the research behind this is about as solid as exercise science gets. Stephen Seiler, an exercise physiologist at the University of Agder in Norway, spent years measuring how elite endurance athletes actually train across running, cycling, rowing, and cross-country skiing. And what he found was the same pattern everywhere. Roughly 80% of their training volume was done at low intensity. Only 20% was genuinely hard, and almost nothing fell in the middle. Now, he didn't invent that distribution, he just measured it, and he found it held up across sports, nationalities, and coaching philosophies. And a 2014 randomized trial in Frontiers in Physiology later confirmed that athletes trained on a polarized model produced larger gains in VO2 max and time to exhaustion than groups doing more moderate threshold-heavy training. Now, the implication is uncomfortable at best. Most recreational runners have it backwards. They train too hard on easy days, never get a real recovery, and end up in this grey zone of constant moderate effort that accumulates fatigue faster than it drives adaptation. It feels like training, it mostly just burns matches. So why does slow running actually build you? Well, the answer is happening at the cellular level, and it's more concrete than most people actually realize. You see, at low intensity, what researchers call Zone 2, just below the point where your breathing starts to feel labored, around 60 to 75% of max heart rate, your body primarily recruits slow-twitch muscle fibers, which are loaded with mitochondria. Now, sustained effort at this intensity triggers what's called mitochondrial biogenesis, which, simply put, is the creation of new mitochondria inside your muscle cells. Now, more mitochondria means more capacity to generate energy aerobically, more fat burned as fuel, better lactate clearance, and crucially, faster paces at the same heart rate over time. So John Halozzi and Edward Coyle documented in foundational work in the 1970s and 80s that regular aerobic training can roughly double mitochondrial density in trained muscles. Your muscles literally upgrade their infrastructure, and this adaptation is specific to sustained, low-intensity work. It is not effectively triggered by brief, hard efforts. The practical translation? The easy run you feel guilty about is building the engine. The hard workout is just revealing how much engine you have. But without the slow miles underneath it, intensity doesn't compound. It in fact just costs. But here's where this gets really interesting, because the resistance to slow running isn't really physical. It's actually just ego. So there's something about slowing down that feels like going backwards. Getting past on the path, doing it wrong, running culture reinforces this constantly. Every social media post is a race, every workout is a survival story, and somewhere along the way, pace becomes identity. Hey, I'm a 5-minute kilometer runner. Haha, I can hold this speed. And the moment you drop below it, it feels like something is being taken away from you. Now, most runners will quietly admit this if you push them. They run their easy days too hard, not because they don't know any better, but because going slow doesn't feel like training. It in fact feels like giving up. And that feeling is strong enough to override what they actually know about physiology. which is exactly why slow running is its own kind of discipline, and a harder one than most people really expect. You see, hard running gives you a clear, immediate reward. Lungs burning, watch confirming effort, proof that you worked. It has an identity attached to it. Easy running, on the other hand, takes all of that away. It asks for patience, for a strange detachment from the validation to watch is supposed to provide, for the ability to let someone else run past without speeding up, for the willingness to finish a run feeling like you could possibly have gone further and call that a good session. Now, that's not a physical task, it's a psychological one, and it's the part most training plans don't mention, because it doesn't fit the narrative that harder is always more disciplined. Now, slowing down isn't what lazy runners do, it's what disciplined runners do when their ego is pushing them to speed up. And that distinction matters, because without it, every easy run feels like a compromise instead of a choice. And there's a compounding cost to ignoring this that most runners don't notice until it's too late. When easy runs creep too hard, they stop being recovered. The body never fully resets, and the next hard session starts from a depleted base instead of a fresh one. Performance plateaus. Legs feel heavy weeks into a training block for no obvious reason. Injuries appear, not from a single bad run, but from months of never quite recovering between them. Now this is the grey zone problem, and it's more common than most runners want to admit. Not easy enough to recover, not hard enough to create a real training stimulus. Just hard enough to accumulate fatigue, not restful enough to absorb it. Every run blurs into the same moderate effort, and the body stops getting a clear signal about what it's supposed to be adapting to. Now, elite athletes, by contrast, have genuinely easy days. Not, I took it a bit easier, easy, but conversation pace, nose breathing, no watch guilt easy. And genuinely hard days that only work because the easy days actually were easy. Now, the contrast between the two is where adaptation lives. Erase that contrast, and you're left with a permanent middle ground where progress quietly stops. So the fix is less intuitive than it sounds, because it requires running slower than feels productive. Slow enough to hold a conversation, slow enough to breathe through your nose, slow enough that a bystander might wonder if you're actually training. And then staying there, resisting the pull to speed up, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Because the adaptation is happening. It's just not very loud. So one day, the pace that used to feel easy starts to feel slow. Not because you're trying harder, but because your aerobic system rebuilt itself underneath you. The same heart rate is now producing a faster output. That's the shift most runners never stick around long enough to feel, because they spend their easy days in the grey zone and wonder why the base never materializes. Now, there's a philosophy embedded in this that the channel's name points to directly. A negative split means starting slower and finishing stronger. Control the early effort, protect the foundation, and you have something left when everyone else is fading. That's not just a race tactic, it's a training principle. Run the first miles with patience, and the last ones become possible. Skip the patience, and the last miles are just survival. And maybe a broader one too, because the runners who are still improving years in, still showing up, still healthy, they're usually not the ones who trained the hardest. They're the ones who trained in a way that could survive a bad week, a busy month, a winter. Consistency over time beats intensity in a single session every time. And the thing that makes consistency possible is running that doesn't destroy you. Slow running is what makes that possible, not because it's the easy option, because it's the sustainable one. So maybe the question worth sitting with here isn't whether you're training hard enough. Maybe it's whether the run you've been skipping, the embarrassingly easy one, the one that feels like a waste, is maybe actually the one your whole week depends on. What would change if you treated your slowest run as the most important one?